Okay, sure. You believe all that about Jesus because the person who wrote your Bible said so. But Jesus is a myth. He never even existed. Let's get to work. Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 15 that if Christ has not been raised, then our preaching has been in vain, and your faith in vain. The resurrection of Jesus is an essential doctrine of the Christian faith. Prove the resurrection didn't happen, and you prove that Christianity is false. Well, for Jesus to have been raised, he first would have had to have died. And for him to have died, he first would have had to have lived. Prove that he never existed at all, and the whole faith comes tumbling down. Enter Jesus Mythicism, the view that the story of Jesus is a piece of mythology, possessing no substantial claims to historical fact. Put simply, the historical Jesus did not exist. This would be a crushing blow to the Christian faith. But thankfully, it's easily proven false. Another win for Christianity. We are lucky enough to have 4 biographical accounts of Jesus' life, ministry, and death, written either by eyewitnesses or students of eyewitnesses, that were written, copied, and spread until in the 4th century they, along with other early Christian documents, were combined to form what we call the New Testament.
Aha! See? All you have is your Bible.
Well, there are several extra biblical texts from antiquity that discuss the historical Jesus. The 1st century Roman Jewish historian Flavius Josephus mentions Jesus twice in his work Antiquities of the Jews, around 93 to 94 AD. The first passage in Book 18, commonly called the Testimonium Flavium, does come with some controversy. Modern scholars do believe that the translation we have today was tampered with by Christian translators in the past, due to some of its phrasing and terminology. However, many scholars do agree that at its core there is a part that is authentic. Reconstructions have been made removing the possible additions, and a reconstruction commonly accepted by scholars would read like this. Now there was about this time Jesus, a wise man, for he was a doer of startling deeds, a teacher of men as received the truth with pleasure. And he gained a following both among many Jews and many of Greek origin. And when Pilate, at the suggestion of the principal men amongst us, condemned him to the cross, those that loved him at the first did not forsake him, and the tribe of Christians, so named from him, are not extinct at this day.
Yes, but as you said, many reject it.
But the second passage from Book 20 is almost accepted universally as authentic by modern scholars. This passage describes the stoning of James at the hands of Jewish leadership. So he assembled the Sanhedrin of judges, and brought before them the brother of Jesus, who was called Christ, whose name was James. The Roman historian and politician Cornelius Tacitus, widely regarded as one of the greatest Roman historians, wrote in his work The Annals around 116 AD about Emperor Nero's response to the Great Fire in Rome. Consequently, to get rid of the report, Nero fastened the guilt and inflicted the most exquisite tortures on a class hated for their abominations, called Christians by the populace. Christus, from whom the name had its origin, suffered the extreme penalty during the reign of Tiberius at the hands of one of our procurators. Other Roman sources such as Pliny the Younger, Suetonius, Lucian of Samosata, and Celsus wrote about the beliefs and practices of early Christians and the trials they went through during the 2nd century.
2nd century? Yeah, they were probably just referring to all the stuff in the gospel accounts.
Well, while there is no evidence to support that, it would be a silly theory for 2 reasons. First, it would prove that the Gospels were written extremely early. If they were being referenced within 80 years of Christ's death, they would have had to have been written within a few decades of the events. Skeptics, especially mythicists, would hate to admit that. And second, it wouldn't make sense that Roman historians and politicians, who were hostile towards Christians, would cite Christian sources as historical fact. If the actual person Jesus didn't exist, then you would expect those who were killing his followers to tell us that. But they don't. The important thing to keep in mind as Christians is the historical reliability of the New Testament. We can believe and trust in the truth of Jesus thanks to the 4 gospel writers and the letters of the apostles. These extra biblical sources don't suddenly make Jesus real, but they are important pieces in the tapestry of history. We can stand firm in the truth that Jesus is real. He is seated at the right hand of the Father and has dominion over all. I'm Derek Brown for Working Class Apologetics. Thanks for watching.